This last week, botbashparties took an international trip to South Korea to compete at the IRC 2019 competition. We had one thing in mind: grinding our opponents to bits, slicing, dicing, smashing them into the ceiling, doing everything we could to win this international competition. To give you guys some idea of what this was, it was sponsored by the Korean government, and it's held at one of the world's largest robotics trade shows. Robotics companies from all around the world brought their very best to put on display. There's manufacturing robots, military robots, assist robots. Everything you could think of was here and on display for everyone to see. To match the international feel the trade show had, they brought in contestants from all around the world to compete. These are all national champions, some of the best one-pound builders in the world, and we got to face off head-to-head, with the goal being to allow the Korean students a chance to compete at the national level. With 16 Korean teams and 16 international teams, this was going to be a tournament to remember. It was all organized by Chung Yu, a competitor from the King of Bots competition. Right out of the gate, we have an international versus international match. Diana from America is taking on India. Now, what made this really interesting is this is a top attack saw versus a top attack saw. Both of these robots are trying to cut through their opponent's top plates. Diana has a slight edge in the fact that her robot has clamps as well. Unfortunately, this is the very first match for this robot, and as you can already see, a gremlin reared its ugly head and she lost a clamp due to a forgotten servo screw. She also was struggling quite a bit with the wheelie the robot has. Her new, more powerful motors cause her to rear when she rushes forward. These are both things she would fix before her next battle, but this turned into a very good learning experience for her. Right here, she uses the screw hazard incredibly effectively and flips over her opponent. It cannot self-right, and she is given the win. This is my first match with my robot, the Bomb. The Bomb has won 5 RoboGame gold medals. I'm going up against a Korean student. He has made an aluminum wedge robot, similar to Firestorm or other British front flippers. Its idea is to push you up to the pit and then try to flip you over. I've switched away from my traditional fingertech motors to try using Maxons, and it's made my robot rather hard to control, but that one big hit gave me the knockout. This event is humongous. There are 6 different bays, each one running a different robotics contest. We had 2 hours to repair, but then it was right back to the battling. Diana's next match is another Korean team. Now, this gentleman made a fairly powerful drum spinner, and right out of the gate with some expert driving puts Diana on her head. This is the first time she's tried to self-right with the robot, and she's discovering it takes a little bit of a technique. But she's pinned her opponent down, and it's time to bring out the saw blade. Her opponent sees trouble coming and decides to get away as fast as he can. Right here, he does a great job of focusing on the wheel, and you can see one of the Maxons is starting to get pinched. Diana manages to get a scoop, and using the screws once again, which proved to be her greatest ally, she picks her opponent up and lines up for the killer blow. As she severs the link, and yes, I am saying switches are better than links, she gets a knockout and a win. Go Bunnybot, go. We're just waiting for her opponent to hit the tap out button. Diana decides to put a show on for the crowd. And there's the tap out. Now this is my second match. I'm feeling good. The first one went about as well as I hoped for. This one has a much different result. As I mentioned last time, I switched away from my trusty fingertech motors to new Maxon motors, and one of them failed right out of the gate. This is something I was warned about by others, but unfortunately due to time constraints I didn't have time to fix. The AMAX Maxon died on me, and I must resort to doing crazy spinny tactics in order to stay alive.
I drive better now.
I'm going to leave the sound on for some of this so you can hear all the crowd's laughter. I swear the bomb, when it only has one wheel, drives better upside down than it does right side up. And the audience seemed to agree. I am going to go ahead and cut a lot of this match out, because unfortunately a lot of this is both of us fighting drive issues, and the judges just have to pick which robot they find shinier. I used to always make jokes I would do this on purpose one time, just so I could say that. This is the part of the match that's still entertaining. Once the battery starts slowing down, it got real boring. There's the one and only hit we had during the whole round. But before the 3-minute mark hits, my second Maxon dies, and I hit the tap out button. So this will push me into the losers bracket. And there it is. The sad end for my second match.
Is sushi roll. I'm here in the losers bracket. Wish me luck, guys. Hopefully I'm gonna win.
One of the most exciting parts of the whole trip was getting to explore the city Seoul. It was phenomenal traveling the streets with the other builders.
So what'd you two think of the big event here in Korea?
Big what? Big event.
The robot event. You fought robots yesterday.
I heard of it, yeah, I've heard of it. It's pretty good from what I hear. I'm gonna have to experience it at some time. But what's really exciting is Pokemon Go, let me tell you.
Oh, the endorsement
My
deal.
first battle.
Oh,
That's not gonna Team Rocket.
all right. How many
How do I
checks do you
battle?
think that guy's cashing?
Oh, how do I battle? How do I battle?
The city was incredible. It was unlike any other major city I'd ever been in before. It's not like New York, San Francisco, Chicago, or even Tokyo. The culture is in everything. The food, the shops, how you order things, the look and feel of each store and business had a completely, almost alien feel to it. It was phenomenal to see the city firsthand. The next day back at the show, the stakes were higher than ever. There were even more people who had come to watch. Every row was crowded, and there was so much electricity in the air and buzz, people couldn't wait to get started. Diana's first match was a big one. So, she is fighting one of the top-ranked Korean robot fighters. Chung Yu's wife, who is from Team Orbi. And they have a mini version of what almost looks like Bite Force. And this robot was no joke. It was beautifully engineered. It had brushless drive and a brushless weapon, and what seemed to be 0 weak points. Diana stayed up all night making a special titanium wedge so she could get up and under Orbi and hopefully deliver an ending blow. Orbi used its gyroscopic inertia to escape, which was a bit tricky for Diana, making it hard for her to pin the robot down. Orbi's now just looking for an opening, and that first hit unfortunately messed up the wedge, and the second one really did the robot in. Now without any of her defenses, Orbi's taking pot shots anywhere it can. But that's the blow that really got her. It pinned in one of the Maxons, disabling one of the wheels. And now with only one wheel drive, she can't get out of the corner. She taps out to save parts for the second chance bracket. My first match was against Sushi Roll this day. This robot took a lot of inspiration from Mr. Roomba, borrowing quite a few of his construction techniques. I think this robot did Mr. Roomba proud. It hit like a ton of bricks and sent me flying each time. It even sounds like Mr. Roomba with that whir and whiz. He definitely hits hard, as both of us are bouncing off the arena. It's around here I'm starting to get a little worried because I can feel my frames getting twisted and it's pulling heavily to the left. But I keep getting the drum up to full speed and I'm hoping one of these impacts will do him in. But it seems like I'm a little worse for the wear. As we wind back up for the next contact, I just keep hoping that ring will break. Unfortunately, it did. With that broken, my opponent taps out, and I get a victory here in the loser's bracket. Diana's joined me in the loser's bracket, and you might recognize this robot. Diana had to do a lot of metal work to get her robot back in shape after the Orby fight. With a brand new front end and reworked titanium front rails, she's ready to go, but unfortunately, she cut her hand quite badly during the titanium work. She's doing her best to drive. She took the Band-Aid off because she couldn't get a good grip on her radio with it on, but unfortunately, she started bleeding on her radio halfway through this match. She gets a good pin, and she's doing her best. She's hoping beyond hope to get up on top of this robot and then cut into its open top plate. Fortunately, the robot's tall shape seems to be saving it from Diana's blade. Diana continues to look for opportunities and ways to get in and under her opponent, but the robot continues to use its lifter, and it's no surprise how it's won 2 matches after fighting me round 1. Still having trouble getting the blade inside that hole and opening, Diana continues her onslaught. The driver's using his weapon quite effectively to try to keep Diana at bay, and hopefully use her own saw to pull him out. And I don't know what lipos this guy's using, but that is the most amazing battery to take straight shots from the pulverizer and the saw blade and keep working. I should have wrote down what he was used so I could get it myself. After a lot of battling, a lot of gripping, a lot of tossing and throwing, this round will go to a judge's decision. And fortunately, the judges are in Diana's favor, and this match will go to her. One of the things we weren't quite ready for was these being 3-minute matches. It's quite common in the States for tournament rounds to be 2 minutes. But the TV shows typically run 3 minutes for their rounds, and the arena, or the tournament EO decided that's what he would do for his. The hazards in the arena are quite phenomenal. The screws are just constantly on. There are 2 hammers that are sensor activated by proximity sensors, and you can see slots in the floor with 4 holes around them. Those are supposed to be saws. My next match was a tomb clone. Now this robot was using a horizontal blade, and he originally had a long blade on, but he was worried I would bend it, so he put a short blade on. I decided to remove the short blade for him, and that was the end of the match. One of the most interesting parts of this experience was trying to fix our robots in Korea. The shops were laid out in a way I'd never seen before. Each shop was like a master of its own particular item. There'd be stores for just hand tools, stores for just pipes, stores for just belts, stores for just power tools, stores for lights. We found them for tape, rubber bands, any one item you can imagine. There was a store that mastered it. Once we got to the Makers District, everything opened up to us. We found everything we needed, from wires, connectors, to batteries, all just sorted and laid out in a beautiful fashion. Our favorite store was the geared motor store. You could find any RPM, any voltage, and any size, and it was just wonderful. So stay tuned for part 2 to see how our trip ends.